having some change of worldview midstream of their life and having a radically different view of what they're going to do with their life that may remain in the healthcare profession. This bill protects our healthcare workers. It also protects our medical institutions. And every year we come to, somebody comes up here and talks about somebody not willing to do blood transfusions and things that are people that would never go into the healthcare profession. I'll give this to you, that some people may have a change of worldview. But if someone has a change of worldview that's that radical, that as has been talked about in this committee today, as a patient, I wouldn't want them to do my procedure. And I think if there was any complications later on, and I was filing a lawsuit against the institution, and that institution did not permit or did not allow someone who didn't want to do that procedure on me, believe you me, I have my attorneys going after them big time for that. So I think all around this protects the institutions, even when it comes to lawsuits after the fact. But the reality is this bill protects the patients. If you have someone who for some reason has some kind of a jihad or some other radical concept, you wouldn't want that person providing that healthcare service. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions?
And I kind of think of it a little bit more complicated than that. You can have a doctor for years, but there may be a time where there are other people who come into place, a technician, nurses, anesthesiologists. There are other people in certain situations who come into play. And so while you have the trust and belief in the doctor, when you go into that emergency room, there are at least 5 other people that you're interacting with. And I'm not specifically talking about the issue that we're on, but if one of those people, you don't know, you're unconscious and you've already taken that anesthesia, and there's a person who's like, we have something going on here, it kind of, I would be a little bit nervous about that. I'm not saying that it's the doctor, it's the people who may be around the doctor.
As a patient, I would want to know that the institution is going to protect me. If you have a healthcare worker who's not going to give 110% of their effort to protect me and to take care of me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor? We're going to have to leave here pretty quick, so keep it short, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Steve Klein, representing the Certified Line Period Board of Records and Board of Hospitals working for we believe this bill is a very timely and very important life-saving bill. And we thank the speaker for his service.
Thank you. Question? Anyone else in favor? Those to testify against? House Bill 1430. State your name, members of the witness forum.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Crystal Williams, and I'm here today representing the American Civil Liberties Union of Missouri. And actually, our opposition to this is pretty simple, and we've talked about a lot of things around this bill today, but the thing that I really haven't heard actually stated is that this bill primarily, almost exclusively affects women. When, as the bill has been worked on over the years and has been kind of winnowed down, it's actually become more discriminatory toward women's health care services. So our position as ACLU is that this bill is extraordinarily discriminatory. It actually I will give you an example actually. In Mexico, Missouri recently, a Catholic hospital purchased Audrain County Medical Center where women might have been able to get contraceptive services or been able to get services around sterilization. That entire entity, which is the only entity for 50 miles around, can no longer, under this bill, they can stop providing those services to the women of those communities around there. So chances are this bill will probably be litigated in the court case.
Any questions for this witness?
Thank you, Chair Klein. So you touched upon a question that I asked the speaker a little bit earlier. There are a couple of concerns that I have but if you are in Alexander County, Mexico, Missouri, you have a choice to go to another county. And at what point does that facility lose a number of patients and it goes on?
I wouldn't know, but I mean, to really go to a hospital from there, you would have to.
Because in my community, if, as I used the example earlier, you had two facilities, one adhered to this legislation, one did not, there would be a loser.
There would be, and you know, honestly too, when I was thinking about this, when one of the previous people that testified said that he would not want a provider to be providing services that they didn't want to provide. The problem with this bill is that it's not a he that would be impacted.
It's a she.
It's a she. The only thing that I can see that would be impacted on men's health services would potentially be vasectomy in this bill. Because, I mean, they've limited it down to the extent, which frankly makes it probably easier to litigate that than if they
Thank you. Any further questions, Senator Gibbs?
So with the second thing, and I don't know the answer to this, are you implying that there are less vasectomies done than there are abortions?
Well, number one, this bill doesn't affect abortions because that's already in statute, and as Mr. Orquist discussed, that happened a long time ago. This bill expands the basis of refusal for a narrow band women's health services. And sir, I actually find it interesting that I've testified in this session numerous times on anti-abortion bills. This bill could actually block women's access to contraception, and it probably affects rural women more than it affects women in cities or larger towns. Because if there's one pharmacy provider in a small town, and a woman gets a script for contraception from her doctor, and goes to that pharmacist, and if they have a real objection to her taking that contraception, she can be refused that service under this bill.
So I'm trying to figure out why you would say this is almost exclusively going to affect female. I happen to have a friend that is a urologist. He's clipping all day long every day. And so I think with as many vasectomies as we're seeing done, and you had mentioned that it would possibly affect vasectomies. I'm just not sure, and I don't have a
But
debate.
a urologist, if he's doing that for a living, that's what he does. He's not going to probably one day wake up and decide he's not going to clip anymore.
No, but he has nurses in the room with him. So if it can affect vasectomies as per what you said, you brought up vasectomies. And so if vasectomies are in the mix, then what we have here is not something that is exclusively a female thing. So I just offer that to you because, you know, if you're gonna come before a committee and make assertions and then your own testimony reverses what you say, then it kind of invites questions from us. Because if you are gonna include vasectomies in the mix, then you can't call this exclusively female affected, because there's a lot of vasectomies that happen in the state of Missouri every day, as my friend could attest. And there's a nurse in the room when it happens, et cetera, et cetera. So just keep in mind, this is not something that exclusively affects females. This is something that affects both male and female as per your testimony. Thank you.
I think what we're going to do is continue this hearing next week. We'll give equal time to those that are opposed to the bill. We really do have to go to the chamber. And so that would be my intent. And for committee members, we'll have a short executive session right after session. We do have some consent bills we need to report in by Tuesday. So thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to recess?
No.